learning and machine learning are not the same thing. They are both methods of creating an artificially intelligent system, a system that can do things on its own, like predicting sales, for example. So, in order to perform a specific task, you have to feed either your machine learning model or your deep learning model with lots of information about that specific task. Think of your machine learning model as a young, agile assassin. When it's time to kill, you tell your assassin who, where, and when to kill. You don't need to feed him with much information for him to perform well. He performs well without much information. Think of your deep learning model as an old wise professor. For your professor to perform the same task of killing, the professor would like to be more cautious than your assassin. He would like to ask for more information so he can develop a more holistic view of the task. It will also take your professor significantly more time to perform the same task than it will take your assassin. Same way your assassin requires small amounts of information is the same way your machine learning model requires small to medium sized data sets and less computing power to perform a specific task. And just like your professor, your deep learning models require large data sets and more computing power. Just like your professor, your deep learning models end up having a more holistic view of the data set. Just like it takes your assassin less time to kill, it takes your machine learning model little time to train. Machine learning models require less training time, while it takes your deep learning models a long time to train. This is because deep learning models are typically used for more complex tasks, for more complex decision making, like image recognition and natural language processing. Taking it a step further, let's talk about pre-trained models, meaning they already have knowledge about how to perform a specific task. They have been given prior knowledge about a specific task. So, how do pre trained models come about? Are they created? Computer science professors have trained these models for many, many years with large amounts of data, millions, and in order for them to perform a specific kind of task. So, these models are like old men with lots of experience in doing this particular thing. This leads us to transfer learning. What is transfer learning? Transfer learning is the application of skills, knowledge, or attitudes that were learned in one situation to another learning situation. For example, in image classification. So let's say the goal of your project was to build a model that can recognize if it's a picture of a dog or if it's a picture of a cat. Your pre-trained model in this case would have been trained with millions and millions of images of cats and dogs. So your pre-trained model knows what a cat looks like and it knows what a dog looks like because it already has prior knowledge. It has already been trained on that task before. So this old man that already knows what a cat and a dog looks like, if you give this old man a picture and ask it, is this a cat or a dog? He would easily recognize it. So what does this mean? This means that if you use a pre-trained model, the size of your data set doesn't matter. The quality of your data set doesn't matter. Like the old man doesn't need to be trained on such a large amount of pictures of cats and dogs again. Just like your old man, your pre-trained model will easily tell the difference between a dog and a cat because it already knows the difference between the two. That also means that your pre-trained model will require less computing power. So a pre-trained model that knows how to differentiate between a cat and a dog can be used to differentiate between a bear and a wolf, for example. So that's like a new domain. And if you have a limited amount of data, a limited amount of pictures for it to train on, it doesn't matter. It will still perform well and it will require less computing power to be able to perform the same task because it has prior knowledge on a very similar task. So now that you know the difference, which one would you learn?